Today is day 3 for the Come Follow Me study for this week, January 12th through the 18th. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Genesis 1 through 2, Moses 2 through 3, and Abraham 4 through 5. Wednesday, January 14th, 2026, Genesis 1, Moses 2, and Abraham 4, verses 14 through 27. The gods create the sun, moon, and stars. Genesis 1:14, And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Moses 2:14, And I, God, said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Abraham 4:14, And the gods organized the lights in the expanse of the heaven, and caused them to divide the day from the night, and organized them to be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Genesis 1:15 and Moses 2:15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. Abraham 4:15, And organized them to be for lights in the expanse of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. Genesis 1:16, And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day. Moses 2:16, And I, God, made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day. Abraham 4:16, And the gods organized the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day. Moses 2:16 continued, And the greater light was the sun. Elder Vaughn J. Featherstone said, Also, he is in the sun, and the light of the sun, and the power thereof, by which it was made. The sun is 93 million miles from the earth. Imagine the energy that the sun perpetually produces. It takes the light from the sun a little less than 8.5 minutes to get to the earth. What power there is in the sun no mortal can possibly comprehend. Christ's power is not only in the light of the sun, but it is also the power by which it was made. What knowledge must one have to create a sphere as large as the sun and put power into it, not only for an hour or a day or one giant explosion, but for time unknown? What creative abilities did this Jesus have, who could control the energy of the sun so it would be consistent from day to day, year to year, even millennium to millennium, and beyond? As President Harold B. Lee stated, the sun ripens the smallest bunch of grapes as though it had nothing else to do. We honor and glorify inventors of laser instruments, spacecrafts, heat-seeking missiles, atomic power facilities, television, and a multitude of other inventions. What are they compared to the sun, the earth, the moon, and the stars? Elder Sterling W. Sill said, This wonderful sunshine that comes from God contains the many mysterious elements necessary for life. In addition to lighting up our lives, this wonder of sunshine is what gets into our watermelons to make them grow and give them color. It vitalizes our vegetables and makes the fruits so delicious to our taste. It is interesting to remember that we do not live on an independent earth. If this colorful light of the sun's rays were turned off for just a few hours, no life would remain upon our earth. The sun's rays themselves perform great miracles. They come through the frigid pitch blackness of outer space without giving off their light or heat or color until they reach our atmosphere. Then the sunshine unloads its warmth and distributes its store of vitamins and health to sustain and energize our lives. Genesis 1:16, Moses 2:16, and Abraham 4:16 continued. And the lesser light to rule the night. Moses 2:16 continued. And the lesser light was the moon. Hugh Nibley said, Here we get what is perhaps the most striking instance of anthrocentric cosmology. An astronomer, I think at Notre Dame, recently calculated the probability of a planet in the solar system having a moon, just one moon at that subtended exactly the same arc in the sky as does the sun from the surface of the same planet. The chances are astronomically remote, so remote indeed that there seems to be something deliberate about what is otherwise a stunning coincidence. From no other point of view in all the universe will the sun and the moon have exactly the same arc. Genesis 1:16 continued. He made the stars also. Moses 2:16 continued. And the stars also were made, even according to my word. Abraham 4:16 continued. With the lesser light, they set the stars also. Elder Charles W. Penrose said, "It is not to be understood that they were for the first time brought into being, but that they were disclosed to this globe, and their influence was brought to bear upon it by the clearing away of the dense mist that had surrounded this planet." Hugh Nibley said, "We can see lots of stars, and we can see about 15, maybe 20 billion light years with new telescopes and all the marvelous things. But they say we see less than 1% of what's really there." Genesis 1:17 through 18. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Moses 2:17 through 18. And I, God, set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and the sun to rule over the day, and the moon to rule over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And I, God, saw that all things which I had made were good. Abraham 4:17 through 18. And the God set them in the expanse of the heavens, to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to cause to divide the light from the darkness. And the gods watched those things which they had ordered until they obeyed. Hugh Nibley said, "In the fourth time we read, the gods watched those things which they had ordered until they obeyed." That important word "until" tells us that they took all the time that was necessary, no matter how long it might have been, measuring the period in terms not of a terminal date, but in terms of the requirements of the task. How long do you think that took? Again, the record is deliberately vague. Elder Orson Pratt said, "Hence, when we go back to the history of the creation, we find that the Lord was not in such a great hurry as many suppose, but that he took indefinite periods of long duration to construct this world, and to gather together the elements by the laws of gravitation, to lay the foundation and form the nucleus thereof. And when he saw that all things were ready and properly prepared, he then placed the man in the Garden of Eden to rule over all animals, fish, and fowls, and to have dominion over the whole face of the earth." Genesis 1:19 and Moses 2:19. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Abraham 4:19. And it came to pass that it was from evening until morning that it was night. And it came to pass that it was from morning until evening that it was day. And it was the fourth time. The gods create fish and birds. Genesis 1:20. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth, and the open firmament of heaven." And I, God, said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl which may fly above the earth, in the open firmament of heaven." Abraham 4:20. And the gods said, "Let us prepare the waters to bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that have life, and the fowl that they may fly above the earth in the open expanse of heaven." Genesis 1:21. And God created great whales. The word whales used in this verse translates the Hebrew word tananim, which comes from the verb meaning to stretch, and means the long stretched ones. This word probably applies to other large sea animals or reptiles such as the dolphin, shark, or crocodile, besides the animal we actually call the whale. Genesis 1:21 continued. And every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Moses 2:21. And I, God, created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And I, God, saw that all things that I had created were good. Abraham 4:21. And the gods prepared the waters that they might bring forth great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters were to bring forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after their kind. And the gods saw that they would be obeyed. and that their plan was good. Genesis 1:22. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Moses 2:22. And I, God, blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Abraham 4:22. And the God said, We will bless them, and cause them to be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, or great waters, and cause the fowls to multiply in the earth. Genesis 1:23 and Moses 2:23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Abraham 4:23. And it came to pass that it was from evening until morning that they called night, and it came to pass that it was from morning until evening that they called day, and it was the fifth time. The gods create land animals. Genesis 1:24 through 25. And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind, and it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. Moses 2:24 through 25. And I, God, said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth after their kind, and it was so. And I, God, made the beasts of the earth after their kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything which creepeth upon the earth after his kind. President Joseph Fielding Smith said, commenting on this eternal law, Byron Nelson, in his excellent work, After Its Kind, has commented as follows after quoting Genesis 1:24 through 25. The Bible is not a textbook of science. In the first chapter of Genesis, however, because it is a matter of the greatest religious importance, the Bible speaks clearly and finely on the matter of biology. After Its Kind is a statement of a biological principle that no human observation has ever known to fail. The most ancient human records, engraved on stone or painted on the walls of caves, bear witness to the fact that horses have ever been horses, dogs have ever been dogs, pigeons have ever been pigeons, elephants have ever been elephants. The most desperate and subtle efforts of man in modern times have been unable to alter this divine decree. The Bible teaches that from the beginning there have been a number of types of living things, man included, which were so created as to remain true to their particular type throughout all generations. The Bible does not mean to say that every distinct form of plant or animal men see about them came from the hand of the Creator in just the form in which it was beheld. It is not the several types of dogs, fox terrier, dachshund, that were created to remain the same forever, but the one natural species, dog. The kinds of Genesis refer not to the semantic species identified by men, but to those natural species of which the world is full, which have power to vary within themselves in such a way that the members of the species are not all exactly alike, but which, nevertheless, cannot go out of the bounds that the Creator set. Professor William Bateson, President of the British Association of the Advancement of Science, 1914 through 1927, has given a definition stating that a species is a group of organisms with marked characteristics in common and freely interbreeding. It is not denied by anti-evolutionists that within a family or species of animals or plants, according to this definition, we will find numerous varieties. For instance, there are many varieties of roses which have been cultivated. Some are white, some pink, some yellow, and others of varied hues. Some have many petals, some but a few. But the fact remains they are all roses. There is no question that the common cabbage which we obtain in grocery stores is akin to Brussels sprouts and other similar plants, but they are of the same plant family. Field corn, sweet corn, popcorn are varieties that have been cultivated, but nevertheless, they are still corn and will interbreed. Corn and carrots do not mix, neither do squash and turnips. There are various breeds of dogs, but they do not breed with cats. The cat family, composed of the domestic animal and the wild varieties, may mix. The horse and the ass are not of the same family, and while man has been able to obtain from them the mule, The mule is rudely and humorously spoken of as being without pride of ancestry and hope of posterity. The Lord decreed that they should not mix. The experiences on the part of man, who has violated this commandment and crossbred animals of different families, has met with universal failure. Whenever animals have brought forth their offspring, and these offspring have mated successfully with other animals, it has been invariably with those from the same family tree. The decree of the Lord has been violated by man, as in the case of the ass and the horse, but the result is such cases is for the posterity to come to an end. A divine law has been violated. This is one of the stumbling blocks that stands like a mountain that cannot be crossed in the way of the progress of the Darwinian theory. This determining factor is a sufficient answer to organic evolution. Speaking of the creation, Elder Bruce R. McConkie taught, there was no provision for evolvement or change from one species to another. Elder Rutger Clausen said, we are told that God made the beasts of the earth after their kind, and the fishes of the sea after their kind, and the winged fowl of the air after its kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after its kind. Now it seems to me that there is to be a very great lesson learned from this important chapter in the Bible. In the first place, I think that it answers perfectly the false doctrine of evolution. We are distinctly given to understand that every living creature was made after its kind. We are not to expect that a lion will grow into a horse, or that a cow will grow into an elephant. But we have reason to believe that a horse will always be a horse. You may be able to improve the horse, but he will still be a horse, and so with other animals of God's creation. And since man in the beginning was made in the image of God, and after his likeness, and since he is still in the image of God and will so continue, we have no reason to conclude that there has ever been any change at all in the order of things as first instituted. Abraham 4:24-25. And the gods prepared the earth to bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth after their kind. And it was so, as they had said. And the gods organized the earth to bring forth the beasts after their kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after its kind. President Thomas S. Monson said, in a revelation given through the prophet Joseph Smith at Kirtland, Ohio, December 27, 1832, the Master counseled, organize yourselves, prepare every needful thing, and establish a house, even a house of prayer, a house of fasting, a house of faith, a house of learning, a house of glory, a house of order, a house of God. Where could any of us locate a more suitable blueprint whereby we could wisely and properly build a house to personally occupy throughout eternity? Such a house would meet the building code outlined in Matthew, even a house built upon a rock, a house capable of withstanding the rains of adversity, the floods of opposition, and the winds of doubt, everywhere present in our challenging world. Genesis 1:25 continued, and God saw that it was good. Moses 2:25 continued, and I, God, saw that all these things were good. Abraham 4:25 continued, and the gods saw they would obey. Elder George Q. Cannon said, even the animals obey the laws of their creation, and there is no plant or creature nor element with which we are acquainted which disobeys or breaks the laws of its creation, which God has given for its government. Man alone, of all the creations of our Father, exhibits disobedience and fails to observe the laws which his Creator has given unto him. By obedience, he can ascend from this condition of existence to dwell with his Father eternally in the heavens, to become, in fact, a God. But he can, by disobedience, sink far below all created things. The earth is cursed because of man's disobedience. Even the animal creation suffers from it. But the day is coming when man's obedience will be the means of blessing the earth and all the animal and vegetable creations. The gods create man in his own image. The phrase, let us make man in our image, suggests that God did not work alone in the creation process. The book of Moses clarifies that Heavenly Father was speaking to Jesus Christ in this verse. From Abraham's account and other prophetic sources, we have reason to believe that others may have assisted Jesus Christ with the creation. As you read Genesis 1, 26-27, Moses 2, 26-27, and Abraham 4, 26-27, ponder what it means to be created in God's image or likeness, male and female. Genesis 1, 26, and God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Moses 2:26, and I, God, said unto mine only begotten, which was with me from the beginning, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and it was so. Modern revelation declares that Heavenly Father has a body of flesh and bones as tangible as man's. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints accepts Genesis 1:26 and Moses 2:26 literally. As children of our Heavenly Father, our physical bodies and our spirit bodies are in His image. Elder Brewster McConkie said, when the Lord revealed the account of the creation, He was very express in teaching that He Himself was a being in whose image and likeness man was created, that He was the pattern after which man was made physically and naturally upon the earth is very evident from the plain reading of the record. The language cannot be twisted to mean that man is merely in his spiritual likeness and image. The account of man's creation, as given in Genesis, reads, And God said, Let us make man in our image after our likeness. So God created man in His own image. In the image of God created He him. Male and female created He them. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made He him. Male and female created He them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. Thus Adam was created in the image and likeness of God in the same way that Seth was created in the image and likeness of Adam. Paul gave the same literal meaning to these words by explaining that as man is in the image and glory of God, so the woman is the glory of the man. So man is in the form like God, and God is in form like man. Both have size and dimensions. Both have a body. God is not an ethereal nothingness that is in all things, nor is He merely the powers and laws by which all things are governed. The prophet Joseph Smith said, God Himself, who sits enthroned in yonder heavens, is a man like unto one of yourselves. He who holds this world in its orbit and upholds all things by His power. If you were to see Him today, you would see Him as a man, for Adam was a man in fashion and image like unto Him. Adam walked, talked, and communed with Him, as one man talks and communes with another. President Thomas S. Monson taught, God our Father has ears with which to hear our prayers. He has eyes with which to see our actions. He has a mouth with which to speak to us. He has a heart with which to feel compassion and love. He is real. He is living. We are His children, made in His image. We look like Him, and He looks like us. President Brigham Young said, Man is made in the image of his Maker. He is His exact image, having eye for eye, forehead for forehead, eyebrows for eyebrows, nose for nose, cheekbones for cheekbones, mouth for mouth, chin for chin, ears for ears, precisely like our Father in heaven. President Joseph F. Smith said, God Himself is an exalted man, perfectly enthroned and supreme. By His almighty power, He organized the earth and all that it contains, from spirit and element which exist co-eternally with Himself. Man is the child of God, formed in the divine image and endowed with divine attributes, and even as the infant son of an earthly father and mother is capable in due time of becoming a man, so the undeveloped offspring of celestial parentage is capable of evolving into a man. As children of God, we have the potential to become like Him. In the family, A Proclamation to the World, we read, All human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit son or daughter of heavenly parents, and as such, each has a divine nature and destiny. President Lorenzo Snow taught, We were born in the image of God our Father. He begat us like unto Himself. There is the nature of deity in the composition of our spiritual organization. In our spiritual birth, our Father transmitted to us the capabilities, powers, and faculties which he himself possessed, as much so as the child on its mother's bosom possesses, although in an undeveloped state, the faculties, powers, and susceptibilities of its parent. President Thomas S. Monson said, "This is a fundamental doctrine, a foundation scripture, an eternal truth. To have been created in the image of God brings to each of us a sense of profound humility and a very real responsibility toward our birthright." Abraham 4:26. And the gods took counsel among themselves and said, "Let us go down and form man in our image, after our likeness." President Harold B. Lee said, "Understanding this principle in the plan of the government of God, we are given a glimpse of the council meeting of gods, as briefly recorded in Revelations to ancient prophets. Under the Father's instruction and by Jehovah's direction, the earth and all pertaining thereto was organized and formed. They ordered, they watched over, and prepared the earth. They took counsel among themselves as to the bringing of all manner of life to the earth and all things, including man, and prepared it for the carrying out of the plan, which we could well liken to a blueprint by which the children of God could be tutored and trained in all that was necessary for the divine purpose of bringing to pass to the glory of God the opportunity of every soul to gain immortality and eternal life. Man is given dominion over all living things. Genesis 1:26 continued. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Moses 2:26 continued. And I, God, said, "Let them have dominion over the fishes of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." Abraham 4:26 continued. And we will give them dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. The prophet Joseph Smith said, "The priesthood was first given to Adam. He obtained the first priesthood and held the keys of it from generation to generation. He obtained it in the creation, before the world was formed, as in Genesis 1:26, 27, and 28. He had dominion given him over every living creature. He is Michael the archangel, spoken of in the scriptures. The gods create man, both male and female. Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Elder Erastus Snow said, "When the Father said unto his Son in the beginning, 'Let us make man in our image and after our likeness,' it conveys to us the idea that man was organized in the same form and general appearance of both the Father and the Son. This especially in relation to the man himself, for you will remark the wording of the text which we have read. In the image of God created he him, referring to Adam. Male and female created he them." Moses 2:27. And I, God, created man in mine own image. In the image of mine ever begotten created I him. Male and female created I them. Abraham 4:27. So the gods went down to organize man in their own image. In the image of the gods to form they him. Male and female to form they them. The first presidency and quorum of the 12 apostles have affirmed all human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit son or daughter of heavenly parents, and as such, each has a divine nature and destiny. Gender is an essential characteristic of individual, premortal, mortal, and eternal identity and purpose. Elder Jeffrey R. Holland said, "It takes both male and female to make the complete image of God." Latter-day Prophets have commented on the existence of a mother in heaven. The first presidency stated this doctrine in 1909 in the following words: "All men and women are in the similitude of the universal Father and Mother, and are literally the sons and daughters of deity." Elder Joseph Fielding Smith, after quoting Genesis 1:26-27, also said, "Is it not feasible to believe that female spirits were created in the image of a mother in heaven?" Elder Erastus Snow said, "You will remark the wording of the text which we have read. In the image of God created he him, referring to Adam. Male and female created he them. You will perceive a difference in the language in regard to the creation of females. Now, it is not said in so many words in the Scriptures that we have a mother in heaven as well as a father. It is left for us to infer this from what we see and know of all living things in the earth, including man. The male and female principle is united and both necessary to the accomplishment of the object of their being. And if this be not the case with our Father in heaven, after whose image we are created, then it is an anomaly in nature. But in our minds, the idea of a father suggests that of a mother. As one of our poets says, in the heavens are parents single? No. The thought makes reason stare. Truth is reason, truth eternal, tells me I've a mother there. Hence, when it is said that God created our first parents in his likeness, in the image of God created he him, male and female created they them, it is imitated in language sufficiently plain to my understanding that the male and female principle was present with the gods as it is with man. It needs only a common understanding of the organism of man and of all living creatures and the functions of this organism to show the primary objective of the Creator, and that is the multiplication of the species, the fulfillment of the commandment given to multiply and replenish the earth, given to both man and beast.